Welcome to the Two-Man Advantage podcast. This week we're talking Michigan football, Lions, and so much more. Alongside my broadcasting partner, Nick Deziel. I'm
Hello.
Kevin McShan. Nick, great to see you.
Great to see you, Kev.
Let's dive right into...
Hey, Michigan's still got a football team in there?
Not after Saturday, not after that performance. That was abysmally awful.
So what's this mean for Hoke? What's this mean for Gardner? What's this mean for Brandon? Because there's obviously lots of questions. There's lots of question marks that game kind of produced. Everybody already had their questions, but they thought, at least it would be a game. Michigan seems to be trending in the right direction. We went to media day. A lot of the people thought the same thing. But after that game, obviously there's some serious issues.
Well, let me start with this. As long as David Brandon has a job, I don't think Brady Hoke is in some trouble. But I will say that watching that performance on Saturday, 4 years in, I'd be alarmed that there hasn't been more progress made. I understand the offensive line is young. I understand that the only receiver they seem to have is Devin Funchess. But 4 years into a program, especially the caliber of Michigan, you thought they would be further along.
What bothers me is that you have Michigan, which has the name, that is able to go get 4 or 5-star recruits, and they still don't. Like you got a 5-star recruit in Morris that's not playing. You got a 5-star recruit in Derek Green, that's your running back, that doesn't seem to be able to run the ball against anybody. Is that go back to the offensive line? I'm sure you got some 4-stars on your offensive line. Like, I just don't understand what the issue is. Well, why aren't they trending in the right direction? I think if anything, they went backwards. Devin Gardner, there's some issues there, and Hoke's really the stem of it.
Well, if you go back to media day, Hoke said during the media day, I thought it was your question actually, when he was talking about still establishing an identity of the team 4 years in. And anytime a coach says that about his program, as far as Brady Hoke is along, that's a tad bit alarming.
Now, what about Nussmeier? Is that not looking good for him? The new offensive coordinator, he's supposed to be, better than Al Borges. That's why I got rid of him. And he comes in, and then Notre Dame pitches a shutout. Even though it was on the road, and it was at nighttime, and Notre Dame was ready to rock, you got to be able to sustain a drive there and score, at some point. They did miss 2 field goals, but it was bad all the way around.
The sad part, I really don't think Notre Dame's all that good anyway. But they made Michigan look like the second coming of a Division II school on Saturday, especially since they're ending a rivalry too, and you get that performance from Michigan. That was disappointing. But to answer your original question, what does this mean for Hoke? Certainly, I think his program is in a state of a standstill. I mean, they're just there. They're not making significant progress forward. All you have to do is look at the numbers. Besides his first season, the numbers have declined in wins, in wins against a rival. I think his only win against Ohio State is when Luke Fickell was the head coach. So certainly, it was a bad weekend for Michigan, but certainly also for the Big Ten Conference as a whole.
Now, this is my last question before we start to wrap this up. What's the status on Morris? What's the status on Gardner? Is it time to go the other way? Is it time to end this Gardner show? Maybe put him at wide receiver. Maybe he can be that big body that can catch. He was a wide receiver a couple years ago. Maybe that's the angle you go with. Now you have 2 guys in Funchess and Gardner that Morris can throw to. It's just a thought. It's just how bad Gardner looked and how bad the offenses looked over the last year and a half. Is it time to make that switch?
Well, I would say this. They've started in a new offensive system. I've never been a huge Devin Gardner supporter, as you know. You as well. But Brady Hoke recruited Shane Morris. Shane Morris is his recruit.
5-star recruit.
I'd consider it, certainly. I mean, Devin Gardner, even against Appalachian State, I know he only passed the football 12 or 13 times, and you would have thought he would have been more sharp in an offense after getting a full offseason in a new system. And all you heard about is how the relationship with Nussmeier and Gardner would make him a better quarterback. But after Saturday's game, I'm really perplexed to give you an accurate depiction as to where the Michigan
I think this is how it's going to work.
Is.
I think that Devin Gardner is going to be the quarterback. I think that's what's going to happen because he's a senior. And they're going to let him play it out, even though if it costs Hoke's job. And I think they probably should move towards Morris. But that's the way Hoke runs his program. I think Morris should just know what, get the reps now and move on with it. Because if you want to try to salvage anything, obviously you have to move away from this Gardner show. So I want to wrap it up like this, and then we'll move on to, of course, Michigan State. We'll talk about them and how they run into the quacks. In the third quarter, I was wearing my Woodson jersey. I enjoy some Michigan football. I remember the glory days.
You are a tad bit of a Michigan
so
slappy.
I had my Woodson jersey on. I'm sitting there with my girlfriend, and third quarter is 28-0, and Gardner fumbles the ball again, and I slowly take off my Woodson jersey and hang it up, and I say to my girlfriend, if you want to watch anything on HGTV, you can go right ahead. So I stopped watching in the third quarter. That's how bad it was. It was terrible to watch. And not just as a Michigan fan. I think this is as a football fan in general. It was just a bore at points because it was just a complete dominant performance. So we'll be right back with some more Two Man Advantage podcasts, and we'll be talking about the Sparty Party that happened on Saturday as well.